Welcome to a week of workouts. Okay, just finished my run, clearly. Today is Monday. Specifically, it is the 21st of July. And Monday, I do not have a lifting day, but I do have a run, and it is the easy run, meaning a slightly longer run at a slightly slower pace. And today's run specifically was 2 miles at 4.2 miles per hour. So that part of the aerobic workout took about 30 minutes. A little less than 30 minutes if you're being like super specific. But I was watching Miraculous Ladybug and I just wanted to finish my episode, so I kind of walked it out for the rest of the 42 minutes for 2 episodes of a cartoon show. And that was at 3 miles per hour, which is kind of a faster walking pace, but pretty doable for me nowadays. Felt pretty good for me. I'm not gonna go too much into that because this week of workouts video is to talk more about the programming. But yeah, around 4 miles an hour for 2 miles is pretty okay for me. My running program is slowly ramping up over time, the speeds and the intensity, although I'm keeping the distance about the same week over week now. So most of my easy runs are 2 miles, and then the speed of the run is very slowly going up over time. And since today is not a lifting day, I do have one of my 3 main runs today. So for the running program, I have an easy run, I have a speed interval run, and I have a tempo run. And because I have kind of my running program going on simultaneously with my lifting workouts, I try to do those 3 main runs on days where I'm either not working out or I have a less intense workout, and definitely not have a workout that involves my legs. And the other days of the week, I will do a walk if I feel up to it, but it's not necessary to reach my running goals. In total, that workout ended up being 42 minutes and about 2.7 miles on the treadmill. And I use the treadmill because it's really hot outside and I'm not experienced enough at running to be able to regulate my pace very well. So having the treadmill makes that much easier. Also want to mention that I recently got new running shoes and they've made a huge difference. The shoes I was using before were not the right size and they didn't feel great on my feet. And I was kind of having some issues with my ankles and knees, but I literally just got new shoes on Friday and it's already been so much better. I will check in with you tomorrow. Tomorrow I am doing an upper body day and then maybe an optional walk if I'm feeling up to it. But if I'm honest, lately I've been feeling very run down and very tired. So it kind of depends on if I want to watch an episode of Ladybug or not. So see you then. Okay, let's jump right into this lifting workout. Today is Tuesday and it is my push focused upper body day. I'm basically doing the same amount of push and pull exercises, but on the push focus day, I start out with pushing movements. So this first exercise is a cable lateral raise. What do I call this? Yeah, cable lateral raise, 1 arm at a time, cross body. I'm gonna give you some real quick tips to help you out if you wanna try this out. So first thing you wanna do is set the handle down by your hip. And that's gonna be your starting point. And when you bring it all the way across your body, it's coming from your hip up to about ear level, low to high. You also want to angle your body away from the machine so that when you're in the resting position, it's pulling your arm across your body, stretching out that lateral head of your shoulder. You want to come to a complete stop at the bottom and a complete stop at the top, so you're not using your body to swing the weights or using other muscle groups that you're not trying to hit. You want to use as much of your shoulder as possible, no body English. You can use more power in the first part of the movement from down to up, but make sure that when you're coming back from up to down, that you're releasing the weight slowly. Really get that time under tension. You want to lead with the elbow and the blade side of your hand. And I'm using a cuff just like loosely around my hand so that I don't have to use a lot of grip strength on this. Not that it's a heavy exercise, but I'm doing pretty high reps, 15 plus, so my hand gets tired over time. So I like the cuff for this, but leading with the elbow and the blade side of your hand, almost like you're chopping someone behind you. And the cable is a little awkward. It's definitely gonna like come across your body. Just do your best not to hit yourself in a way that's painful. And for this exercise, because it's unilateral and because it's a very small muscle group, you can take a little bit less rest in between sets because you're naturally just gonna have a little bit more rest in between arms while the other arm is doing the exercise. So for me personally, I'll do left, right, and then I'll walk back and forth across the gym like 2 or 3 times, and I'll go right into the next set. Basically only as long as it takes for me not to feel like any lactic acid buildup in my shoulders. The second exercise in this workout is a really standard dumbbell bench press for the pecs. Hits your shoulders just a tiny bit. I really like to let myself sink into the stretch. It really helps me activate my chest muscles. And the good thing about the dumbbells is the bar does not impede your range of motion. So you can really go as deep as you want based on your body and how flexible you are. You want to make sure that your butt and your upper back are both touching the bench. But if you have a little bit of a gap around your lower back, that's totally okay. Most people have a natural arch in their back, and you don't want to force your back to be flat against the bench, unless of course for some reason you're doing bench press with your feet up or something like that. You want to make sure that you're planting your feet. You're not tip-tapping throughout your set. Plant your feet, get a stable base, and then do your exercise. I like to put a little bit of pressure with my legs just so I have kind of like full body tension and I'm not just like really loose in some areas. And since this is a bit more of a compound movement, it's a little bit heavier, you want to have a little bit longer of a break in between sets. Of course, you don't want to take too long, just until your breathing has regulated, not feeling any lactic acid buildup, and feeling prepared. But if you do need to take a little bit longer, then for example, between your lateral raises, take the time that you need. There's no one size fits all when it comes to rest periods. This next exercise is a close grip pull down, and I'm using my cable machine. And the handle that I'm using is what I call a V-grip handle, but I don't know if that's like the actual name of it. So you can see that the handles are stationary in kind of a V formation. I like to use my Versa grips. If you need grip assistance, please just use it. You know, if you want to work on your grip strength, you can do that in other ways without taking away from your main movements. So I like to use the Versa grips. The most important thing about pulling exercises is full extension at the beginning of the movement. I do full extension and full contraction, and I do my pulling movements basically from a dead hang, meaning I let my body kind of go limp and then I engage everything at one time. You want to keep your elbows close And you also want to pull down at the elbow. Your hand should be more of a hook. And if you ever get into a position where you have to grip the handle in order to keep hold of it, you're probably not doing something right if this is the exercise that you're trying to do. So pull with the elbow, hand is a hook. And as you can kind of see, when I'm pulling down, I'm also slightly leaning back at the same time. And that's just to make room for my head so I don't hit myself with the handle on the way down. I'm doing my absolute best not to swing with the weight. I'm keeping it really slow and controlled all the way down and all the way up without using a lot of body English to assist. Okay, this next exercise is also a pulling movement. So the pull downs is more of a vertical pulling movement. And this exercise, which I call the cable horizontal rows, is more of a horizontal movement. So pulling this way rather than this way, but a lot of the same cues apply to the horizontal row as it does to the pull down. So full extension and contractions, keep your elbows close. Your hand should be a hook and you don't have to use your fist. But the one thing you want to remember about this one is to pull towards your belly button or pull towards your hip, depending on the length of your arms and what your belly situation looks like. You don't want to scrunch up here towards your chest. You want to pull down low and squeeze your back. Squeeze in here in your lats. It's almost like squeezing your armpit to keep from getting tickled. You're pulling and then squeezing and then releasing. Okay, this is a reverse fly, also using the cable machine. To be 100% real with you, this is kind of the wackiest exercise of this particular workout. If you are at a commercial gym, I would highly recommend using the reverse pec deck or some kind of reverse fly rear delt machine because it would just be so much better. Even I have a hard time with this exercise. It's difficult to stand still. It's difficult to lead with the elbows. It's just like not ideal, but gotta work with what I have. The main point I would make about this exercise is similar to the lateral raises. You want to lead with the elbow and the blade side of your hand, but this time you're coming from about ear level and coming back to about shoulder level, squeezing your rear delts and upper back at the bottom of the movement. So it's very difficult to keep your elbow leading. You kind of naturally want to do this, which then kind of takes some of the tension off of your rear delts, which is one of the reasons why it's so difficult. But nevertheless, I do what I gotta do. And because I am crossing my arms at the top, I like to switch which arm is on top in the first and second set. This is only 2 sets. So if I start right over left, in the second set, I'll do left over right, just so I can try to stay as balanced as possible. Last 2 exercises are a superset of standing bicep curls and laying skull crushers for the triceps. For the bicep curls, I think most people know how to do that. My tips would be to stand up really tall, chest up, and don't swing the weight when you're doing your curl. Let it come to a complete stop at the bottom and a complete stop at the top. Let it down slowly. Keep tension on the bicep through the entire movement. If you find yourself using a lot of body English, just sit down and stabilize yourself on a bench. For the skull crushers, the form is very dependent on your body mechanics. I have very long arms, and for me to get a really good stretch in my triceps, the weight has to go past my head. But if you're somebody with arms that are a little bit shorter, you might be able to get a really good stretch and contraction in your triceps by bringing the weight actually to your face. Hence why it's called a skull crusher. So If you want to give skull crushers a try, I would tell you to play around with the form a little bit. I will say that lately I've been having a little bit of crunchiness in my shoulder from skull crushers, specifically when I have my arm back like this. I might need to chill out on these in the next iteration of my program. But that is it for this workout. I just wanted to mention, because I didn't do it at the beginning of the video, that I work out for muscle size. I'm no longer training for strength in particular, but I do get a little bit stronger over time in the movements that I'm doing. But very specifically, I am training to either maintain the muscle mass that I've built throughout my years of lifting or increase the size of my muscles, so muscle hypertrophy. Where I'm at right now in my life with my running and lifting program, it's not likely that I'm gonna be putting on a whole lot of muscle size, and I'm also not gaining weight fast enough to really gain a whole lot of muscle size. So I'm kind of cool just where I am, coasting, running, eating, and yeah, it's not always about the grind and the push and better every day. Like, you can be fit and healthy and chill at the same time. So that's kind of where I'm at. Today, I can do an optional light walk as part of my running program. And I think I will do it because I'm feeling pretty good today. It wasn't an incredibly taxing workout for me, considering it's upper body. My legs feel fresh, even though I had that run yesterday. So in the program, I have a 20-minute walk at 2.5 to 3 miles per hour. I'm just gonna do 3 miles per hour because that's something that I can sustain. It's a little bit of a faster walk, but not too big of a deal. And I'm probably gonna go a little bit longer than 20 minutes because I'm just gonna watch like one episode of the show that I'm watching right now. And this is not really a hot tip, but I find that having one specific show that I watch while I do my cardio is slightly motivating if I'm looking forward to watching that show. So I'm watching Miraculous Ladybug right now, which is a cartoon that is literally meant for children, but it's one of my favorite children's cartoons, and I am catching up / watching episodes that I haven't seen before, and I'm really looking forward to it, but I'm not letting myself watch it any other time other than when I'm doing my cardio workouts. So I'm gonna get that in, and then I will see you all tomorrow for the first leg day of the week of workouts. It's Wednesday, specifically the 23rd, and it's the quad focused leg day, first leg day of the week. So we're starting off with leg press, and it's quad bias leg press because it's the quad focused leg day. So you'll see in the video that I'm wearing my squat shoes. That is totally not necessary, but I happen to own some, so I'm using them. I feel a little bit more stable when I wear them because of the really hard flat sole. But the main thing I want to point out about this exercise is because I'm trying to focus on my quads, I am keeping my feet a little closer together, so inside of shoulder width apart. And I'm also keeping my feet towards the bottom of the platform so that they are more quad biased. So there's going to be more flexion at the knee. It is totally okay if your flexibility allows your knees to go over your toes. You just want to make sure that your knee is tracking in line with your toes. So if your feet are pointed straight forward, your knee should go in the same direction. If it's more comfortable for you to have your toes slightly out, your knee should also go in that direction. It's better not to torque your knee in a direction that your foot is not going. But yeah, lately I've been doing this exercise with really, really high reps, so 15 plus, And I've been liking that a lot more. I just don't really like the intense systemic fatigue of doing heavy exercises right now. So I'm keeping it pretty light, but doing a lot of reps and still getting a burn and like feeling it in my legs. Next exercise is quad biased split squats, and I'm gonna keep my squat shoes on. Split squats, pretty rough. I did go over and show kind of like a side-by-side comparison of quad biased versus glute biased split squats in my last fitness vlog. So I will link it somewhere up here if you want to go check that out. But today, because it's the quad biased day, I did quad biased split squats. And basically I'm just focusing on an up and down elevator sort of movement with my body, keeping my chest high, my back neutral straight, and I'm trying to sink down until my thigh is parallel to the ground. And when I'm stepping out with my working leg, I'm not stepping out too far, just far enough that when I come down and my thigh is parallel to the ground, there's about a 90-degree angle at my knee. I would definitely recommend that you take a short break in between each leg, not like a full-on break, but maybe like 20 or 30 seconds, because I personally find this to be a pretty aerobic heavy exercise, and I'm not even using weight, I'm just using my body weight. So I like to give myself a little bit of a breather in between each leg and then a slightly longer break in between each set. Next up, I'm doing a superset of hip adduction and hip abduction because I conveniently have both of those exercises in one machine. If you're at a commercial gym, you might not want to monopolize two machines at the same time, but you know, it depends on the situation. This is a machine, you're kind of locked into place. I would follow the instructions on your particular machine if you're doing this exercise. But the main thing I would tell anybody, and I mean this is for literally any exercise ever, is control the weight. Don't let the weight control you. So I think a lot of people do this exercise with more weight than they really need to. Just be sure that you're getting a full contraction and slowly releasing the weight. Get that time under tension. Don't put all of your effort into the eccentric portion of the exercise and then totally neglect the concentric. I think that's right. But yeah, I feel okay doing this as a superset because they're opposing muscle groups. But you know, if you're feeling a lot of overall fatigue just doing one exercise at a time, it's totally not necessary to do it as a superset. I'm kind of just trying to get the workout done pretty quickly. I'm trying to keep my workouts under 90 minutes, and doing supersets of exercises that don't interfere with each other too much helps move the workout along faster. Second to last exercise is single leg curls. I'm doing them single leg because I want the unilateral hamstring work. This is my only specific hamstring exercise for this workout because it's the quad bias workout. I showed you two different ways that you can isolate your legs, or two different ways I might isolate my leg. It's a little awkward either way, but I don't know, I think it's worth it. It's good to have both bilateral and unilateral work in your workout programs. And I mean, it's just a machine, not much to say about it. You've seen me do it so many times if you've been watching any of my fitness videos, so I'm not gonna like wax poetic about the leg curl machine. Last exercise is calf raises. I'm using the leg press to simulate a standing calf raise, and I'm doing both feet at the same time. Because I'm doing this running program and I'm getting in a lot of steps, I don't feel like I need to do single leg calf work. So on this leg day and my other leg day, I'm doing both legs at the same time. I'm just varying the rep range a little bit. So one day is a little bit heavier and one day is a little bit lighter. But the most important thing about calf raises is get a full stretch in the exercise and don't just bounce up and down. Really do the work. Really feel it in your calves. It's gonna hurt real bad. It's gonna burn, but it's really effective. Okay. And that's it for today's workout. Tomorrow is shoulder and arm day, and looking forward to that. My favorite day of the week, I guess, if I have to decide on a day that is my favorite. No aerobic exercise today. It is my rest day from the running program, specifically because it is a leg day. I do feel like I would be okay to do a light walk if I wanted to, but kind of just don't even feel like it. So we will try to do all those optional walks the rest of the week and just like take it nice and easy today. So see y'all tomorrow. Today is Wednesday, the 24th, the most bro day of the week, shoulders and arms. Also my favorite day of the week because I am indeed a bro. Started off with super range of motion lateral raises. So basically, instead of stopping right at shoulder level, I went about as high as I comfortably could while keeping the pinky side of my hand elevated and leading with my elbows. And when I get to the top, I try to squeeze my shoulders together, specifically the lateral part of my shoulders. Like I think about trying to, it's impossible, but think about trying to like touch my lateral shoulders together. But anyways, you know, that literally made no sense. Super ROM, lateral raises, specifically working the lateral head of the shoulders, but also hitting a little bit of the front and probably engaging some traps as well, but that's okay. Second exercise is barbell upright rows, which you've probably seen me do in other videos, but I changed it up a little bit because the limiting factor for me for this exercise is the upright row part, because my lateral shoulders are weaker than like my chest and my anterior shoulders. So what I did is upright row and then press the barbell overhead twice. And I count that as one set. Really important here to keep your core tight. Usually I feel like when people say keep your core tight, it's a little bit of a, I don't know how I would explain. This is kind of a rambly thing, but yeah, I actually think it's really important on this exercise to have some full body tension, because you are pushing that weight up over your head, and if you're feeling unstable, it could be really dangerous. And actually I did accidentally smack the arms on my rack, and it was a little scary. Third exercise is incline curls. So lowered the back of the bench to a 45-degree angle and did seated curls off of that. You get a little bit more stretch at the shoulder joint, which can stretch out your bicep a little bit more. If you have shoulder issues, I probably would not recommend this exercise, but my shoulders are pretty solid, and seated helps you eliminate a lot of body English on that. I supersetted my incline curls with cable machine push downs for the tricep. I used individual handles, but I did both arms at the same time, so it still counts as a unilateral exercise. It's just a really basic push down, really controlling the weight all the way up and down, making sure that I'm getting full extension in this position, stretching my tricep all the way out and contracting all the way. And then the last exercise is for the rear delts, a face pull on the cable machine using the Vulcan handle. That's the company that makes it, Vulcan. I'm really focusing on trying to pull the two ends of the handle apart. For me, that's what really activates the rear delts. When I just kind of like pull it back, I get a lot of my upper back, sometimes my traps. But when I focus on pulling apart, that's when I really engage the rear delts, which I find to be quite difficult, to be honest. When I first started working out, I had Joey help me by just honestly just poking my rear delt as I was doing the exercise, and that really helped me try to focus my efforts. But a lot of times face pulls and rear delt exercises aren't super duper important, especially if you have a pretty well-rounded back day. I'm sure that I'm hitting some rear delts when I'm doing like horizontal rows. Next up, I have my speed interval run. So today I am doing 4 half-mile intervals at 5.2 miles an hour. I think that's maybe around 11-minute miles, something like that. And then in between the speed intervals, I'm doing 2 minutes of walking at 3 miles per hour. So in total, that's probably gonna be 2.5, 3 miles altogether. I did already change my shoes. I'm a little, I think I should be able to do the workout. I think I should be able to do the run. I'm usually really intimidated just by like the numbers, because I'm not actually, what week am I on? I lied. I am actually supposed to do 4 speed intervals at 5.4 miles per hour. I didn't copy it over, so I take that back. So it's gonna be half a mile at 5.4 and then take it down to walking for 2 minutes at 3 miles per hour. Oof. Okay, I'm gonna get that in and I will see you all tomorrow. I will say the difficult part about lifting and running at the same time is that my legs are quite sore from the workout yesterday, which was the leg day, and now I have to do these speed intervals and I'm really not looking forward to it. I do think that the aerobic workouts are harder on my aerobic system than they are on my muscles, but of course there is a level of systemic fatigue that makes this pretty difficult. But yeah, normally I don't find that running makes my legs sore, or if I have delayed onset muscle soreness in my legs, that it really affects my performance. It's more of like a cardiovascular issue for me when it comes to these things. But I'm gonna get that in, and like I said, I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow there's no lifting workout, but I do have another run, so talk to you then. Good morning. It is actually still morning. Today's Friday, it is the 25th, and there's no lift today. It's my lifting rest day, but I do have a run that I have to get in. So today is the tempo run, which is usually a little faster, but shorter. So I'm running 1.25 miles at a 5.6 mile per hour pace. So I think that's somewhere around 11 minutes. The running part should actually be pretty fast as long as I can actually do it, but I think I should be fine. And then I'm just gonna like walk it out for the rest of the episode of the show that I'm watching. And yeah, I will say that I'm still very sore from the leg day earlier this week, but should be fine. I'm not like too worried about it. And I did make sure that I ate something a little earlier. These kind of faster running workouts usually take a lot more out of me than the easy run. So, I also want to mention that for the tempo run today, I do have the treadmill at a very slight incline. It's at a 1% incline. But this is the only one of the 3 main runs that I do on any kind of incline. Otherwise, I just do it on a flat surface. So I'm gonna get it in. What's up, y'all? It's Saturday, July 26th, and it is the pull-focused upper body day. It follows the same structure as my push-focused day, but the exercises and body parts that I'm working are in a different order. I'm starting out with wide pull downs using 2 separate handles on my cable machine so that I am working each side of my body independently. The main things that you want to keep in mind for this exercise are to use your hand like a hook. Just let it be dead weight and hold on for dear life. Lead with your elbow, and when you get to the bottom of the movement, you want to squeeze your armpit like you're trying to keep from getting tickled. Those are my main cues for this exercise. It's working your lats, and it's kind of focusing on your back width, like the Dorito shape, not so much your back thickness, like from front to back. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm about to go into my second exercise, which are the horizontal rows. It's very similar to what I did in the previous session, but I'm using 2 separate handles like I just did for the wide grip pull downs. And that way my arms are working independently of each other. In the previous upper body day, for my pull downs and my rows, I was using that V grip handle that is stationary. Both my hands are locked in to position. So this one just allows me to work each side separately so I can help minimize imbalances in my body, because you've probably seen how bad my pull downs are with the long bar. One side is very much longer than the other in terms of my arm length and the size of my body. So yeah, those don't really work out so well for me. So I like the separated handles. When you're doing the horizontal rows, make sure you're pulling towards your belly button and your hip, and you're keeping your elbows close to your sides. You don't want to wing up like this for this specific exercise, although doing a pulling / rowing movement up here is totally valid if you're trying to work your rear delts and your upper back. This seated dumbbell lateral raise exercise is very similar to the one I did on Thursday, but I'm using the bench to stabilize myself. I have it at a very, very slight incline, and I know that this is not super efficient for working the lateral delts specifically, but I'm okay with getting a little bit of front delt activation. And I am focusing on leading with the pinky side of my hand so that the range of motion does activate the lateral fibers in the shoulder. I've been really liking the Super ROM lateral raises, but I can tell that it's really tearing up my elbow. And in the next workout program, whenever I make that up or whenever I start a different program, I'm definitely going to be switching out some of these lateral raise exercises for things that have a bent elbow, because I can feel it putting a lot of torque on that joint. So something to keep in mind. But I also need pretty high volume for my lateral shoulders to see any kind of growth. And I do feel like my shoulders are looking a little bit bigger lately, but the volume is coming with the price, and that is the health of my elbow joint, and I don't want to exacerbate it too much. So like I said, I will be changing that exercise and probably some of the other ones next time I switch up my programming. So for this program, I've been doing cable incline flies. So basically my hand comes from about hip level up to about nose or eye level, call those incline flies, but been stabilizing, where'd it go? Oh, stabilizing on the bench. And it's a little annoying to set up, and it's hard to get into position but it's actually really nice not to have to brace my entire body while doing a chest fly. I will say that I had to drop weight quite a bit, and I stay very cautious when I do this exercise because I'm worried about wrenching my arm back and hurting my shoulder. So I try to do this like extra slowly, extra carefully, really controlled. For me, this type of an exercise, well, I would say chest exercises in general, a lot of times I'll feel very strong until the very last rep, which I really struggle to get out. So I'll just be like repping it out, and then all of a sudden I can barely move the weight. So yeah, that's another reason why I try to be really careful on chest fly movements in general, because it can be really dangerous for your shoulders. But it does feel really good, and I get a really good stretch, and I am very flexible in my chest area, so it feels really nice for me. If you have the ability to set up something like this, you might want to give it a try. It's quite nice. And then the last two exercises for this upper body workout are dumbbell curls for the biceps and cable push downs for the triceps. The dumbbell curls are gonna be on a deep incline using the bench. So very similar to like laying curls, but the bench is just gonna be slightly higher. That way I don't have to elevate the entire bench because I have incredibly long arms. It's a little annoying to set up just on a flat bench. So I'm doing a deep incline dumbbell bicep curls. And then for the cable push downs, I'm gonna use one of the Vulcan handles and use both arms at the same time. Push down, squeeze. You know the deal. I'm not gonna jump back in and talk about these exercises, but I'm gonna go biceps, triceps, biceps, triceps, biceps, because for today I'm doing 3 sets of biceps and 2 sets of triceps. So I will catch up with you at the end of the workout. Okay, that's the end of the lifting workout. Is there anything specific I wanted to mention about it? Not really. I think I said everything I need to say earlier, but as part of my running program today, I can do an optional light walk, and I think I will indeed do that. In the program, I have it as 2.5 to 3 miles per hour for about 20 minutes. I have been finding lately that 3 miles per hour is pretty easy for me. It didn't used to be, especially when I was in the fat loss phase, but that might have been because I was just really tired. But now that I'm eating more calories and also been practicing moving my body more, the 3 miles per hour is not that difficult. So I think I'm gonna do that and just watch an episode of Miraculous Ladybug. And I will see you tomorrow for the last day of the program, which is the glute-focused lower body day. Last workout of the week, but full disclosure, I had some kind of weird impingement in my upper back on Sunday. So today is now Wednesday of the following week that I'm filming the last workout of the week, which is the glute-focused lower body day. It follows the exact same structure as the quad-focused, but basically switching the muscle group that I'm working out. So anything that was a quad exercise on the quad day is now a glute or hamstring focused exercise. So starting out with dumbbell RDLs. I also wanted to say that I have not done this workout in a number of weeks because Sunday is typically the day that I have stuff going on, if I do have stuff going on the weekend. So sometimes this workout gets skipped. But starting out with dumbbell RDLs, I'm using the Versa grips to hold onto the dumbbells because I don't want my grip to give out. Do these with a neutral back. You don't have to try to force yourself to have a straight back. You don't want to overemphasize the arch in your lower back, but whatever is neutral for you, that should be the shape of your back for the entire exercise. So Brace your core like somebody's gonna punch you. Hinge at the hips and push your butt back as you lower the weights. Your knees do not need to be locked out, but they should stay the same angle throughout the exercise. Lower the weight straight down. It should stay right about over the top of your foot. And then lower it until you feel a stretch in your hamstrings and your glutes. And then come back up, still hinging at the hips. This exercise is gonna look a little bit different for everybody. Depends on your flexibility, depends on the length of your arms and the length of your legs, all that good stuff. So if your RDLs do not look exactly like mine, that's totally okay. Just remember the cues. Neutral back, same angle at the knees, hinge at the hips. Second exercise is split squats, which is actually the same as what we did on the quad focus day, but these are glute biased split squats. So I'm stepping out a little bit farther, and instead of the up and down elevator motion, I'm thinking escalator. So my body is kind of rising at an angle instead of straight up and down. When I go down into the squat, I'm really sinking into the stretch and allowing my knee to become a smaller angle than exactly 90 degrees. When I'm doing it for the quads, I'm basically bringing my leg to parallel, my upper leg, my thigh to parallel. But when I'm doing it for glutes, if I can stretch the glute out even more, then I will do that. So again, this is another thing that really depends on your flexibility level, and I am relatively flexible. I'm doing a superset of hip abduction and adduction because it just works really well with the machine that I own. You might not want to take up 2 machines at one time at the gym, but that's on you. I'm not your mom. I am starting out with abduction, legs out, because that's more of a glute exercise. And then I'm going into the adduction, which is legs together, which works the inner thighs. So again, glute focus day, starting with the glute exercise, and it's the opposite of what I did on the quad focus day. After that, I'm getting in some quad specific work with the leg extension machine, single leg for some unilateral works, working on my symmetry. And I'm using that yoga block that I can't find right now, using the yoga block to help stretch out my quad. You've seen me do this exercise. I've explained this a lot. My legs are pretty flexible and I need this extra stretch to really feel this exercise. I also lean way back in the machine so that it helps stretch at the hip, stretch my quad at the hip. And then last, and not really least, but finishing off this workout with calf raises. On this calf raise exercise, I increased the weight a little bit, so the rep range is a little bit lower. On the other day, I typically do higher reps and a little bit lower weight. But because I'm doing a running program at the same time, I am only doing bilateral calf raises, so both feet at the same time, rather than switching one to the other. And if today was indeed Sunday, which it's not, I have the option to do a light walk on an incline. But since today is actually Wednesday, I will be taking a rest day from the aerobic work. And I will also say that I really dislike doing the optional light walk on an incline. It's just like very tough for me. I'm not used to it, so I have a hard time with it. And usually I go ahead and skip it either way. Yeah, just wanted to mention that if this was Sunday, that's what I have on my running program. That's it for the entire week of workouts. Like I said, I'm mostly in a maintenance phase when it comes to the lifting and the muscle building and stuff like that. I'm also kind of in a maintenance phase when it comes to my diet as well, so my weight isn't really going up or down significantly either way. I'm really kind of more focused on reaching my running goal of a 10-minute mile. And if you are interested in seeing the entire workout breakdown, that will be in the description. But of course, I had at the beginning of every day what that workout would be in case you wanted to screenshot it from the actual video itself. Any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always leave them in the comment section and I will do my best to get back to you. If you have questions about the exercises, if you need help with an alternative exercise, just go ahead and leave it down there and I will do my best to answer your questions. Last thing I guess I would want to say about this specific program is that I don't think that this program is particularly beginner friendly. I am not a beginner when it comes to fitness. I am a little bit of a beginner when it comes to cardio and running, but I do have a good overall fitness base. So I'm finding the progress is not so hard to come by, but I do think that this lifting and running split is a little bit on the intense side, and I probably would not recommend it for somebody that's just starting out. If somebody were to take this workout program and maybe reduce the amounts of sets, or maybe cut out the shoulder and arms day, it might be a little bit more beginner friendly, but I would definitely say as is, this is a more intermediate to higher level advanced workout split. The running program though, like if you just wanted to take that running program and run with it, hey, probably not too difficult. And of course you would need to adjust like your speeds based on how you're going. Honestly, 100% transparency, I used ChatGPT to help me come up with that program, but I have adjusted it a little bit over time. And when I write out the program in the description and for you to screenshot on the screen, I will be using the very base beginning program, but this is a program that evolves over time and I am adding in sets and reps week to week to the lifting, and I'm increasing my speeds over time and the distance over time in the running program up into a certain point. So anyways, that's it for the video. Hope you got something out of it. Super appreciate you sticking around and sticking with me while I've been a little MIA, but don't forget to be responsible for your own gains. Don't be a dick, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.